Hello and welcome to the Hornets Hive. It's the show that offers you all of the build-up to our remaining Premier League fixtures, both home and away, for the remainder of the 2019-20 season. Well, matches don't get much bigger than today's offering. So for those of you who are superstitious, now is the time to put that left sock on first, get on your favourite shirt, make a cup of tea in your lucky mug. Whatever it takes, whatever you need to do it now. As today, Nigel Pearson's Watford, fresh from that 2-1 victory over Norwich City 4 days ago, will be taking on Steve Bruce's Newcastle United side come 12:30. This is the second of 3 games in 10 days as the Hornets look to secure Premier League status for another year. And our destiny is very much in our own hands. If we can make it back-to-back victories this afternoon, then the pressure will be cranked up further on those teams around us in the Premier League table. Now, the Hornets Hive enables all Hornets fans to enjoy the game with their friends by using the inbuilt watch-along facility. And a reminder that from today, we will also have full commentary of the match. That's with John Marks and Derek Payne, 2 very familiar voices. So we look forward to handing to them come 12:30. We would also ask that viewers do observe the rules around social distancing and do rely on the watch-along facility as a safer way to enjoy the game. As part of the watch-along, we would love to hear from you. That's via the text function that is available on the right-hand panel of your screen. So please click on the username that you currently see, and that will enable you to change it to your own. So when you do pop through any questions or comments, we know who they're from. And a reminder on that note, as excited or frustrated or nervous you might be, please keep the comments and the questions clean and respectful. That's if you want to see them featured. We're going to be putting as many of them as possible to our panel throughout the day. Right, well, that is the housekeeping done. Time to begin our matchday build-up on the Hornets Hive. Now, today's panel is made up of 2 ex-teammates who made almost 500 first-team appearances between them in a Watford shirt, and they both played under Watford's greatest ever manager, Graham Taylor. First up is a defender who came through the youth setup at Vicarage Road before going on to play 252 times for his hometown club, including the 1999 playoff final victory over Bolton as Watford were promoted to the Premier League. It's a big Hornets Hive welcome to everyone's favourite left-back, Paul Robinson. Hi, Robbo.
Good morning, Emma. How are you?
Nice to see you. I have to say, you had more hair the last time I saw you. Is that a lockdown hairdo?
It is, and it's grey, so I want to cut the grey out.
Well, it's great to have you with us via video link, grey hair and all. It's been a pretty surreal few weeks, hasn't it? How have you enjoyed the behind closed doors experience so far?
Yeah, it's been weird. Obviously, not seeing the fans there cheering the teams on can be quite difficult for the players. But like you say, it's the jobs need to get done and the points need to be earned. So it's to get the season finished and then look forward to next season.
Absolutely. Well, next up, it's time to introduce another one of our own, a striker who scored 60 goals in 263 appearances across 2 spells at Vicarage Road in a career that spanned more than 18 years. He scored against both Arsenal and Manchester United at Vicarage Road and played in 2 FA Cup semi-finals. Upon signing him for Portsmouth, Paul Hart said, "I've liked Tommy for a long time. He's clever, infectious, enthusiastic, and a hard worker." And that's exactly why we've asked him to be part of today's game on the Hornets Hive. So a big warm welcome to Tommy Smith.
Good morning. How are you, Emma?
I'm good. How about that for an introduction, hey?
Brilliant. Love it.
I don't write these things, but I'd love to take the credit for that one.
That was good. I don't remember him saying that either, actually.
Well, there we go. A nice reminder for you. Yeah. So nice to have you back together for this show. Obviously, you spent many years at Watford together. You played against each other as well. And here you are on the Hornets Hive, Robbo.
Yes, I know. It's great to see Tommy again. Obviously, coming through the ranks with him at such a young age and then playing with him in the first team and then obviously playing against him. Yeah, so it's great to see Smudge again.
How many years has it been, Tommy? How old were you when you two first crossed paths?
I don't know. Rob, what do you reckon? The 14s, 13s,
yeah,
maybe?
Would have been 13, 14s, yeah.
Yeah, around then, 12, 13, probably. So that's a few decades, mate. That's kind of scary when you think about it.
Showing your age now, Tommy.
Yeah, absolutely. I know.
All right, then. Well, I've already asked Robbo a little bit of insight on the restart. How about you, Tommy? Are you getting used to it at all, this behind closed doors football?
Yeah, well, this is the first game. Well, I'm at Vicarage Road today, so it's the first game I'm going to be at live. It has taken a bit of getting used to on the telly. I don't know about you guys, but I have to watch it with the kind of the fake background noise on.
You're crowd on.
I am, yeah. I find that a lot easier to watch. But look, it was great just to get football back. It was there wasn't a lot on telly. I think I did everything on Netflix through most of the couple of months while there was nothing else on. So it's nice to get it back and to get the season finished. As Robbo said, it's important that they managed to do that. Get everyone the opportunity to finish the season properly. Absolutely.
And Robbo, are you a crowd on? Do you prefer to have the noise?
Yeah, definitely have the music on in the background. I think it's good. Obviously, it's to take the players' mind off just being in an empty stadium, isn't it? Because you can, when you're talking, you can hear your voice coming back at you in the stadium. So I think it's a positive that you do have the background noise on, just to make it a little bit easier for the players.
Well, today's game is match 6 of a remaining 9 fixtures that we had as part of Project Restart in the 2019-20 season. They've been flying by. So let's take a look now then at the remaining matches we do have left. So we've got today's game, then away at West Ham at the end of next week. And then it's a pretty tough run-in after that, isn't it, Tommy? You want to get the points in the bag before those games against Manchester City and Arsenal.
Yeah, you do, ideally. You're taking today into account as well. Today and West Ham are probably, you're looking at the remaining fixtures, they're the best chance for us to pick up 3 points. So if you can pick up certainly a win today, I think as a minimum. West Ham away is never easy, but they're a team in and around us. So we've got to be looking to take points off West Ham as well. And then at that point, hopefully, we can relax a little bit with a bit of a gap between us and whoever's below us at that point. But Man City is always going to be really, really tough. Recent performances against them and results show that's not going to be easy. And certainly Arsenal away, you want to make sure you're secure before you go over there, because again, Emirates is not an easy place to go, and they've picked up recently, Arsenal, so that certainly won't be an easy afternoon.
And Robbo, how many points do you think really we should be looking at as a minimum across the next 2 games, bearing in mind we do have City and Arsenal to face right at the very end?
I think with today's game, obviously 3 points is massive. West Ham, definitely, you've got to be looking at 3 points there. Obviously, the City one is a hit and miss game. Depending on what team Man City put out, they've got world-class players in every position. And then the Arsenal game, you'd look to try and get a point there if you can. So yeah, 7 points for me is a must get just to make sure that safe.
With Newcastle today, taking a look at the Premier League table, I think as fans, it's quite natural to think, well, they've got nothing to play for. But give us an insight here, Tommy, as a player, as a former professional yourself. Does that even go through players' minds, or will Newcastle be coming here today just solely with their eyes on 3 points, regardless of the bigger picture?
Yeah, I think regardless, and I'm sure Robbo will say the same, when you're a professional, you come out and you train exactly the same regardless, whether it's the first game or the last game of the season, you prepare properly. And when you're out on the pitch, you're not thinking, oh, it's our last game of the season here. You're actually thinking, I'm playing to win, playing for my shirt, playing for next season. You're always being judged as a footballer, whether it's what you've done throughout that season or what might happen in the summer in terms of recruitment. So that there's always something you need to be playing for regardless. And being safe only puts them, I think, in a position that they can relax and enjoy the game really without being any additional pressure on them.
Well, just over, 45 minutes to go until kickoff here at Vicarage Road. We're going to be talking through today's teams very shortly. But first, it's time to take a look back at some classic matches from the Hornets Hive archive now. This morning, we're going to be looking back to some more recent previous meetings against today's visitors, Newcastle United.
The sort of time afforded managers in the past not available anymore, but here's a perfect start from Hughes! Oh, how about that for Watford? Opportunist it may be. He missed an absolute sitter last week, but Will Hughes has slotted the opener here. Joe Linton And now it does go wide right. Kraft tosses it in. Oh, it's put into the corner! What a reactive goal from Sarr, and Newcastle are level.
Here's Hughes in towards Deeney, lets it run through for Andre Gray. Gray looks to return it, it drops to Doucouré, and Pereyra scores! Perfect start for Watford with just 2 minutes on the clock. Roberto Pereyra back from a groin injury, netting his 5th of the season, and it was beautifully worked by Watford. Defender is Lejeune, still Pereyra, and it must be, it's a really simple header for Andre Gray to make it 2-0, and Newcastle can have no complaints. They've been overwhelmed here in this first half. Well, he suffered that groin injury here against Palace, didn't he? You just wonder if that might have twinged again. Manquillo's cross, Perez coming in and scores! What a good finish that is by Ayoze Perez to haul Newcastle back into the game with their first shot on target.
Well, Alex has been in touch using the chat function on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see now. He says it's important that we don't lose today. I think a draw is expected. Huge if we win, though. Watford's record, Robbo, Tommy, is actually pretty good against Newcastle. Newcastle have won just 1 of their last 8 against Watford. On top of that, we're actually unbeaten in all 5 of their Premier League home games against Newcastle. Since returning to the top flight, which bodes pretty well, Roro, doesn't it, as we go into today's fixture?
It's a good omen to have, yeah. Going into the game, definitely a good omen. Fingers crossed, the boys can produce the result that they need to get today against, which will be a very good Newcastle team, though. Yeah.
When you look at the stats, Tommy, and the style of football that this Newcastle side are playing now, they're averaging only 37.5% possession this season, which would suggest that we're probably going to have a lot of the ball.
Yeah, that's an interesting stat. I think Newcastle have found a way to get points this season. Perhaps there's been a lot of problems from off the pitch. And I know, I have to say, a couple of my family members are big Newcastle fans, particularly my dad. He's a Geordie, born and bred Newcastle fan. So I know Newcastle just generally don't travel that well to London, particularly over the last kind of 10, 15 years. They've always struggled coming down here. And that shows really with the record they've got against Watford. And they've managed recently, particularly, to find a style and a way of winning that is certainly more on the counter-attack, utilising the pace they've got in the team with the likes of Almiron and Maximum, who are really deadly on the counter-attack. So that's something I think Watford, I'm sure, would have worked on and will be trying to counteract today.
And Robbo, Tommy talking there about Newcastle's style. I think Steve Bruce has kind of split the Newcastle fans in half, really, despite the success that he's had with them this season. They're still not 100% keen on him, but there's no denying it. He's done a great job, hasn't he, since taking over from Rafa Benitez?
Yeah, but he's got results, and that's the most important thing in football. He's picking the points up when they've needed to. Yes, Steve Bruce is totally different to all the other managers that they had, especially Benitez, who wants the team to play football, to play the right way. Steve Bruce has gone in there and worked out a system for the players, and he's got them playing together, and he's got them playing good football as well, which the quality of attacking players that they have in the team, when they gel, they're a very talented team when you watch them. Very, very clever. And when you've got someone like John Joe Shelvey in there, he's a player that can pick out some dangerous passes. So, yeah, I think Steve's done a really good job there since he's taken over.
Yeah, well, we'll get into today's team shortly, Tommy, specifically looking at personnel. But it's true, they can be quite aggressive on their day, Newcastle. But saying that, the Bournemouth result aside, this season, generally speaking, they have struggled for goals a little bit.
Yeah, they have. They've been, obviously, it's Joel Linton was their big summer signing, came in with a big transfer fee. And there's been a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he's struggled to find the back of the net. So they haven't really got that main centre forward that I think they can rely on. Dwight Gale, obviously, we know about Dwight. He's a great goal scorer, but he's probably not the kind of forward, I don't think, that can lead the line. He probably needs to play up front with someone. So yeah, it's certainly something that they've struggled to replace someone that can score goals. So it's certainly that they've been very reliant on other players to try and pop up and score goals, and they haven't got a lot of other strength in depth in terms of goal scorers throughout the squad. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they haven't scored that many this year.
Juan Pablo has been in touch to say we need to pick up 3 points today. Tez's prediction, he's going 2-1 again today. Lots of you said 2-1 the other night and got it right. So let us know what you think today's score is going to be using the chat function. Right, so 45 minutes to go then until kickoff at Vicarage Road. Huge game today. Every week here on the Hornets Hive, we have been fortunate enough to be joined by some of the biggest names in our club's history. Tommy and Paul are both here now to help us build up to today's big game, as well as help contain and distract from any nerves or excitement that I think a lot of us are experiencing. On that note, as a brief distraction from today's game, we're going to take a look now at their time in a yellow shirt. So first up, here is Paul Robinson in action.
Micah Hyde with the opportunity. Headed away for Robinson. Now Hyde, lovely control. Kept it going well. That's not a bad ball for Noel Williams. This is Vanazza. And through the middle goes Robinson. What a ball by Vanazza, and what a goal by Robinson! What was he doing there? The left back in the centre forward role with a deft right foot touch. It's a superb goal. It really is out of the top drawer. 2 goals inside 3 days for the number 3. Vanazza's hit an absolute beauty. He's got the right side of Luke Young, and he's got enough about him to score.
Well, you heard the commentator say there, Robbo. What's he doing up there? Tommy, you were asking the same question.
I know. Shanked it in as well. Look, they all count though, Robbo.
Aye, they all count.
I so wish our viewers could have heard your comments as that montage was being played, Robbo. Techers, you kept saying.
I scored more goals than what people thought I did. So I was a natural in front of goal.
Wand of a left foot.
Well, listen, Robbo, your time at Watford, obviously very special. And it certainly seems as though you've got a really good connection with the fans here. They remember you. They remember your goals as well, very well. Why do you think that is?
Probably because I was a local boy and I come through the ranks, and it was my club growing up. As a young kid, I wanted to play football from such a young age, and to get the opportunity through Watford was just an unbelievable feeling for me to put the shirt on and credit and all that goes to Graham Taylor, Kenny Jackett, all the people I work with helping me achieve that goal. So yeah, Watford has a very special place in my heart without a shadow of a doubt, because it was where I was born and bred.
Well, having seen Paul in action just now, it is time to turn our attention to Tommy's time in a Watford shirt.
But the stage was set for one young man to carve a real niche in his Watford career, and indeed in the course of the season. Tommy Smith honours a sub, first touch, what turned out to be the winning goal.
Smith, saved by the keeper, and scores the rebound. And inside the first minute, Watford have the lead. Vanazza, that's nice. It's a great ball forward, and a good run again, this time for Hyde. Foley. Arriving is Marcus Gale, the knockback for Smith. That's a cracker. That is an absolute cracker. And Watford lead 3-1. Robinson. One more now would surely settle the issue. This is Smith. It's 2. And surely the points are going down the M1.
Smith. Now Webber. The challenge was missed by Walsh. And Webber still goes. Smith for the return. This could be a great goal. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah, that shirt, Tommy, looks about 8 sizes too big for you.
I know. I look at the kits nowadays; they're all skin tight. Back then, they were dreadful, baggy shorts, socks that used to fall down.
Some great memories, though. Some great goals. Do you have a favourite?
I think for me, my favourite, probably all time from my career, is my first goal against QPR, which was the first one on the reel there. I think that really kind of, when I look back, is fondest memories, really, and it kind of announced me on the scene in the first team. So, out of all of them, that's probably the pick.
Yeah. And just like Robbo, you're a local lad. So was it your dream to always play for Watford?
Yeah, it was. When you grew up in the area, that's all you wanted to do, was play for your local club. And with Tommy as well. So Tommy's there now. The both of us coming through the academy, growing up together, and then both playing for the first team was a dream come true.
Yeah, we were lucky, I think, because we had, like Robbo touched on before, with Graham Taylor, Kenny Jackett, Luther was involved. So kind of guys that knew what Watford was about and were really pushing the youth players to come through at the time. And we had a really strong youth setup. And you could kind of see a path into the first team back then, which was great. So you knew what you had to do to get there. And Robbo did it before me. And it just, little things like that gave me personally the confidence to know, actually, he's gone and done it. And it gave you that kind of path to step up into it.
Well, speaking of Watford's first team, we'll take a look now then at the starting 11 for today's game against Newcastle United. Robbo, Watford unchanged. Are you surprised by that, or did you expect to see a couple of changes in there?
No, not really, because I've worked with Nigel before, and he's very superstitious in not changing too many things if you get a good result and you stick with the same team. He believes that the same players can go out again and get another performance. So, no, it's not surprised me with Nigel and that he's stuck with the same team. And
for you, Tommy, would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit of an unwritten rule in football. I think if you win, you generally keep the same team. These players have earned the right to start the game again after the last game, which they won. So certainly me as a player, I would expect to be on the team sheet the next game after a win.
Lots of fans last time out were calling for Danny Welbeck's name on that team sheet. And well, he delivered, didn't he? Hopefully more where that came from today, Robbo.
Yeah, well, what a goal that was. I'm surprised he's not got injured and he's back like Wright did in the playoff final. But no, Danny's a top-class player and he's had a lot of injury problems, and it's just nice to see him back out playing again and to get that goal and get the 3 points for Watford the other night. It's, like you say, it'd be a dream come true for him. So let's hope he keeps that form up today again.
Yeah. And Robbo, you mentioned Nigel briefly and that you know him quite well. Just taking a look at the league table from December the 22nd, would you believe it?
Yeah.
It is quite an achievement, isn't it? When you look at that, Nigel Pearson, Craig Shakespeare coming in and making it so competitive at this stage of the season. Of course, we've all got hopes we will stay up, but just to be in this position, when you look at where we were, is quite something.
Unbelievable. Look at that, 9 points off from Southampton. And we've seen the run that Southampton's gone on and how clear away they are from it. So it's possible. And Nigel did exactly the same thing with me at West Brom. So he knows the league. He knows how to get out of these situations. And he's a great motivator to have in and around the team.
Just give us a little bit more insight. What's he actually like? What is it about him that motivates you so much in those situations and trusts him so much?
He doesn't accept anything less than 100%. If you don't give 100%, then he'll have no interest in you being involved in the team. That's the way Nige works. He wants everyone to pull together, to be in the same direction, and listen to his philosophy. If you don't buy his philosophy, then you won't be involved. Simple as that. But that's what he's like, and he gets the job done, and that's why he's so good.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed he can. He's certainly got previous, Tommy. 9 points off it then before Manchester United that day. When you look at where we are now and going into today's game, how important for confidence was it to beat Norwich on Tuesday night?
Oh, that game was massive. That was a must-win. West Ham had beaten Chelsea, obviously, which had applied a little bit more pressure. And you just need to try and find that little bit of space between yourselves and the bottom three. And there was no better opportunity to the team at the bottom of the table coming to your home ground. So, yeah, we needed to win that. It was massive, and it was a bit of an edgy game, I thought. It wasn't a classic performance, but we got the 3 points. And I'm sure, and I'm hopeful we can build on that today and just play with a bit more confidence.
Well, plenty of you getting in touch via the chat function, which is always good to see. David and Will down under in Melbourne joining us. They said a big hello, and I think they've got a score prediction in as well. They reckon 3-1 to Watford today. Leonie says, I'm going 2-0. Russ Smith says, come on, you Horns. Tough game for Watford today. Be happy with a point. Keep those predictions coming in. We've still got just over half an hour to go until kickoff at Vicarage Road. So plenty of time for you to get your questions in to our panellists as well. That's Paul Robinson and Tommy Smith for today's game. Well, here on the Hornets Hive, we like to think that we bring you the most detailed build-up to every Premier League match day. It's time now to join a football analytics journalist and co-host of the Double Pivot podcast, who's consulted for the likes of ESPN and who helps us do that every week. So it's a big Hornets Hive welcome back to our good friend, Mike Goodman. Mike, dare I ask, what time is it where you are?
Well, it is almost 7 a.m., but I am here with my coffee and I am ready to go.
That's what we like to hear. All right, let's get stuck into this then so you can get back to bed eventually. Newcastle, they've come out of lockdown pretty well, haven't they? They're in pretty good form.
Yeah, it's funny. I was listening to Tommy and Robbo talk about it a little bit and how the points have been there for Newcastle, but you get into talking about how they're playing and everybody's a little bit mystified about where are these results coming from? They have trouble scoring goals. They don't take a ton of shots. They have very little of the ball. And when you dig into the numbers, that's in fact the case. The numbers sort of suggest that the reason that Newcastle has these points doesn't have a lot to do with how they're playing, and it has to do with the fact that over the course of the season, a number of times they've just scored some very, very unlikely goals. If you examine what we call expected goals, right, where you look at the average quality and the quality of the shots that they're creating and the quality of the shots that they're conceding, what you see is that they have almost 6 more goals, if you take away penalties, than we'd expect them to. That's a really big number. Only Liverpool and Leicester have managed to get more than that when you compare the actual number of goals they've scored to what we'd expect. On the other side, Watford have 7 less. And what we tend to interpret that as when you're talking, to people who do statistics, is not that, say, Newcastle is a great finishing side and Watford are a poor finishing side. But over the course of a season, the reason we call it expected goals is that you expect teams, good teams, bad teams, average teams, to play to their numbers, to end up where we would predict them to. And what that kind of says is that Newcastle have gotten a lot of really good bounces and Watford have not. And despite the results, we really wouldn't expect Newcastle to be a better team as they play than Watford is. So that's a really encouraging sort of set of statistics if you're looking at going into the match today, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah, so I suppose really to surmise, it's Newcastle just quite efficient at what they do. And with that, you've kind of touched on it there. They've just got some quite unorthodox players, haven't they? There's no Joel Linton in their starting lineup today, but with their 5 changes, it looks as if they are going pretty aggressive. So Maximin's in, Almiron, Gale, Lascelles back involved. It's going to be quite a lot to handle, isn't it?
Yeah, you guys talked a little bit about Joel Linton before, about how he was this big ticket signing who came in and has, as a forward and has really struggled for goals. And the thing about his game in the Bundesliga was that he was not really a goal scorer, despite being sort of a big looking forward and a sort of a target man. He's never been a traditional goal scorer, and they have struggled when they've tried to play him up top. Now, the bad news is that Dwight Gale has been extremely effective for them getting in behind. But without Joel Linton, Joel Linton was a huge target for them to move the ball up the field. He was targeted with passes more than anybody else on Newcastle. So without him, you have this really big question of how are Newcastle going to get into the final third to create chances, which is the thing they struggled to do anyway. And so what I think we're going to be looking for a lot is you're going to look at St. Maximin out on the wing, you're going to look at Almiron, and you're going to look at Shelvey trying to squeeze off passes for Gale to run onto in behind. But if you're Watford, I know Watford, we talked last week about how it was okay for Watford to not have possession against a team like Norwich because Norwich wanted the ball. This week, Newcastle really doesn't want the ball. And quite frankly, without Joel Linton, Newcastle are going to have a hard time when they have the ball moving the ball up the field. And if you're Watford, what you want to do, I think, is to keep the ball, keep pressure on Newcastle, make them try to break out and counterattack you somehow without their target man. You want to use the ball this week, whereas last match it wasn't as important. And you want to make Newcastle do the thing that they're not good at, which is moving the ball up the field and creating shots. That is the thing they struggle with. Look, if they beat you because they hit a 25-yarder into the upper corner, you kind of have to live with that. That's how they've won matches this season. But if you can restrict them to that, then you're sort of doing the things that you need to do. So if you're looking at the game today, like, there's not a lot of reason to be confident that Newcastle would be a better team than you. I think Watford should walk into this match feeling like they can take 3 points and feeling like you got to make Newcastle beat you. And that if they do, like they have a number of times this season, you can say, all right, we played well and they did what they had to do. But you should depend on the fact that Newcastle doesn't create a ton of stuff for themselves.
Well, plenty of reasons then to be positive by the sounds of it. Let's just hope they don't hit us with a 25-yard strike. We've had that recently. Yeah. And fortunately, we found a way to get back into that game, but fingers crossed that doesn't happen again today. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Get back to bed, hey? And we look forward to speaking to you Friday against West Ham, which should be actually a bit more of a sociable hour for you, right? Next Friday night? Excellent stuff. All right, Mike, we look forward to speaking to you again then.
Right, Emma.
Cheers. That was Mike Goodman, a football analytics journalist that joins us for each of our Hornets Hives. Right, keep the comments coming in on the chat function. We've got Brad, who's watching from Papua New Guinea. Wow, come on you Horns, 2-0 today, please. And remember, this is your show, the Hornets Hive, and we do look forward to hearing from you on every match day. Please do continue to use the chat function in the right-hand corner of the watch along function. Now, we've already had lots of questions and comments coming through this evening, but before we, this morning even, lunchtime, what day is it? Before we put those to both Tommy and Paul, we do need to get their thoughts on a big question. Now, I'm really, really intrigued to hear your opinion on this, Tommy, Paul. We had a bit of a change in fortune against Norwich. Now, you might say that could have been due to a change in formation, the genius of Welbeck with the overhead kick he scored, or was it because we play Z-Cars again when the teams came out? As a player, is that going to have any kind of bearing on how they're preparing for these games? Robbo, we'll come to you first.
What a tune, Z-Cars. I love running out to that before kick-off. It should give anyone a buzz. You know, the fact that you're going to play a game of football, you're in your stadium, at home. Yes, there's no fans, but what a motivational part of the game is just to run out with your teammates trying to get 3 points. I mean, yeah, Z-Cars was massive when we were growing up and we loved it. We loved that tune coming out too.
And Tommy, can you understand why there might be a theory that the players were just a little bit more fired up after hearing that?
For me, no, not really. I think when you come out, you're focused, you're ready to go. I mean, bar now, obviously the fans, the atmosphere, that gets you going. Yeah, there's music on, but for me, Robbo, you might have found it different, but for me, I didn't really listen to what the song was. If generally it's kind of music to get you going, so I doubt there's any link. But I agree, Z-Cars is brilliant, and we associate it with Watford and running out to it. So I think it should be the music we come out to.
Well, we are, 27 minutes away now from hearing Z-Cars again. So hopefully it does have the same impact as Tuesday. Time now to join once more another one of our supporters groups. So this time representing the North East and Yorkshire Hornets, we have Chris Hanchett, who I'm delighted to say joins us live now. Hi, Chris. Thanks for being with us. How are your nerves ahead of this one?
Don't know, not decided yet.
Well, you've got half an hour to decide that. Now, one of the real highlights, I think, of the Hornets Hive so far has been connecting with all the different supporters from different clubs all over the place. So on Tuesday, we connected with 2 different supporters groups that were based in Norfolk ahead of the Norwich game. Now, of course, in the north of England and with you, Chris. Now, there's plenty of clubs up there to tempt you away from Watford, but that hasn't been the case, has it?
No, well, you've got to go with your roots, haven't you? Having been born in Watford, my stepdad being from Watford as well, from Bushy, it was always natural to be an avid football fan already than to follow my original local club.
So how long have you been up north? Because, I mean, it sounds like you've really got the accent.
Yeah, I've lived here since I was about 6 years old. So 24 years. So it's been a long time in the wilderness. So I've never even lived down south following Watford. So.
And what are your earliest memories then of watching Watford?
York City away. First game I went to, and the last time we played York City. A bit of a drab 1-1 draw.
And from that day, you were hooked. Tell us then about the supporters group. How many of you are there involved?
There's, I would say, just over 100 now, I think. There's quite a small group of the sort of more, like the regular ones that you speak to and meet up with, like, because I'm local to York, so there's only sort of maybe about 10 or 20 that are local to York that we see a lot of, but there's quite a few in Leeds, and then there's obviously the northeast contingent, sort of more up towards Newcastle, Redcar, around that area.
Right.
But the actual connection, the idea for the original Yorkshire Hornets came from Norfolk as well. So that's where it kind of seed was planted by a friend of mine. Became friends with there. So
well, you've got a lot of love coming in here. The Pidge has been in touch to say Chris Hanchett is a legend. So obviously you're very well known, Chris. Tommy, Robbo, let me bring you in at this point. Like I said, I think we've really had our eyes opened here. Of course, we know there's Watford players far and wide, but for you, when you were a player, were you aware that you had fans all over the place, or did it feel like a really sort of hyper-local club?
Yeah, no, I think you do, because you've got sometimes the most bizarre places where you might be and you'll bump into a Watford fan. So it might be, on a holiday somewhere, or, I've got family in Australia, so I know there's 1 or 2 fans over there as well. So, yeah, I think you are aware of it. Probably more so now with social media, etc. It's far easier to connect, but back then it was often just something very strange. I remember once I was in darkest Wales on a coastal walk, and a fan walked past me going the other way, and we had a quick chat kind of on top of a cliff almost. So yeah, there are some random times you meet fans, which is great.
Yeah. And what about for you, Robbo?
Yeah, same. Obviously, same as Tommy there. Bumped into a few Watford fans while away on holiday. Just that you just don't realise that they're everywhere, all over the world, until obviously you bump into them just randomly on holiday with your kids and your wife, and you have a little chat, 5-10 minute chat, just to catch up, because it's nice. It's nice to meet the fans from other countries, because, like you say, you don't see a lot of them apart from the ones that were around England or at the home games and certain away games that you'll stand and have a chat to. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. You can catch up with the fans that are far and wide.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, in the chat function now, we've got Bangkok Hornets saying any other Thai horns here. Paul G in the USA saying good morning to everybody. Now, we usually ask the questions here, Chris, but Chris, I think you've got a question, haven't you, that you would like to put to Robbo and to Tommy?
Yeah, so obviously you guys are absolute legends of the club, but being local lads, what was it like running out in front of your hometown fans and for your hometown club? It must have been amazing.
Yeah, well, certainly for me, it was, it's incredible. And I think more so now you're retired or I'm retired, looking back, you realise how big and important it was. I think at the time you probably caught up in your goals and what you're trying to achieve, and just trying to be focused and professional in what you're trying to do. But yeah, I think now looking back, and Robbo's the same, he's got kids, I think for parents and family, it must be such an amazing thing to see a local lad coming through and playing for the local club.
Yeah, same for me, Chris. Just that buzz. I mean, dream come true, and the fact that we had so much support from all of our coaches that made it possible for us, made it even better, because they trusted us. They put us on the right pathways, and if it wasn't for them people, me and Tommy, and I think Tommy would totally agree, we wouldn't have been the players that we were or had the careers that we had if it weren't for them people around us.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. So thank you to you, Chris. That's Chris Hanchett that's joined us from the North East and Yorkshire Hornets. And Chris, you've got a lot of love coming in. I'm just looking at the chat here again here. Danny says, we love you, Hanchett. We do. We love you. And also Mike B, who looks as if he's one of your fellow North East and Yorkshire Horns. He says, a big hello to Emma, Robbo and Tommy, and especially Chris, from his top friend and co-founder of the Yorkshire and North East Hornets.
He founded the North East a year later, and then he didn't know the Yorkshire Hornets existed, so he was put in touch with me, and then we sort of amalgamated the two, and then became what we are today.
Brilliant.
Excellent stuff. Well, enjoy the game today, Chris. Thanks so much for coming on. And Mike's also left a prediction there. He says 2-0 to Watford. Come on, you Horns. Right, as we continue our countdown to kickoff, it is now time to hear from current Watford and ex-Newcastle United fullback Daryl Janmaat. He's been speaking to Kevin Affleck about his time at Newcastle. But first of all, he did give us an update on the health issues that have caused him to have missed a large part of this season.
Injuries at the moment I feel good. It was really frustrating. Everyone knew that I had a bacterial infection. My last game was Norwich away. I had surgery in England. Had some meniscus problems as well, so they repaired that as well, removed. But I really never were getting better after the surgery, so I was always struggling with the pain and the fluid in my knee, so it never disappeared. So I went to Holland, had a second check in April or May this year, and then we did some samples again, and it showed still there was an infection in it. So I needed another clean out. I'm with my trainer in Holland to build me up again, and hopefully I can be back early next season. I think I'm improving really well. Hopefully somewhere next season, in early next season, I can be back fit again.
Have you been watching the team, and how hard has it been to watch the team struggle?
It's hard. It's not nice. I have to say I'm really focusing on myself as well now, because I see this as a less good chance to get myself fit and get another 4 or 5 years, because I want to still play, and I want to continue, and I want to be really strong. But on the other side, you're looking to the team, and you want them to win. And the most important thing is to stay in the Premier League this year. Everybody know the league, the position we in, and a must-win game. And I think Saturday is the same must-win game, in my opinion. I hope they can do it again.
Against your old team on Saturday, Newcastle, how do you reflect on your 2 seasons at St James's Park?
Overall, I had a really good time. My family had a good time. It was my first steps in England, in the Premier League. It's like a warm bath, you know what I mean? Like the people are really nice. So I can't complain about Newcastle. It's a really nice club, nice people. And I really appreciate that I can be part of the history and that I have played there. So everywhere as well. Like you say, Newcastle. I think a lot of people in the world recognize the team, because it's a big club. And I'm happy that I made that step to England.
Lots of players have left, Daryl. I don't think anybody's really still there, but Jamal Lascelles is still there. Could you see his promise and his leadership coming through when you were there?
Yeah, he was still young. He was like the first, I think he came in my second year. That was his first year there. And then, at the beginning, I think he didn't play, but after he was starting to play more. And I think he's a good captain at the moment for them. And he will improve, and he will learn a lot. He's still young, I think. So what I can see from outside, that he's a good leader at the moment. So.
And a prediction for today's game, Daryl?
I would say we win 2-0.
And on that note, we have had a comment coming from Joe Phillips, who wishes Daryl good luck with your recovery. Keep the predictions coming in, your messages of support for the team today. We've had a fan in Tasmania get in touch saying, hoping for a 2-1 win to end my evening on a high. The days barely got going here in Watford. But thanks once more for getting in touch. We've mentioned already we've got fans in Thailand that are joining us. So keep the comments coming in. If we can win again today, then that added to Tuesday night's victory over Norwich will mean that the Hornets are edging ever closer to safety. Danny Welbeck's stunning overhead kick will certainly live long in the memory. And here's how some of you reacted to that goal from the safety of your own front rooms.
Lewis in low again. It worked out last time to Hernandez. Didn't work this one.
Nice, played out calmly.
I'm not calm.
Go on, Izzy.
He's got the benefit of that one against McLean, and still Sarr with two coming up to join him. Sarr into the middle, and Welbeck on the overhead. Oh, how about that? Incredible goal from Danny Welbeck. It sat beautifully. He knew what he wanted to do. He executed.
Just.
A first Premier League goal for Watford. And how big could that be?
Yes!
That's a great
What a goal!
It's the first time they've
Get
got the
him
ball
there!
to Sarr early. Right in the top corner from Danny Welbeck. Well, if you're going to break your duck, what a way to do it. And how big a goal could that be for Watford this season?
Well, I have to be honest, there were similar scenes here at Vicarage Road. I was with Gifted Noel Williams watching that one. What about you, Robbo? Did you jump in the air, grab anyone, give them a kiss?
Oh, what a goal. I mean, I did a jump up, fist pumping. If Gogglebox was at my house, they'd be in trouble. But yeah, I mean, what a goal. What a goal to get off your feet and celebrate.
Yeah, it was a huge finish, wasn't it? And to have two goals like that, Tommy, at Vicarage Road with no crowd. I mean, how's that for luck?
I know, it's such a shame, isn't it? I think particularly for the players that have scored, because, you know, the adulation you normally get from two goals like that will be probably double what you'd normally get for a tap-in. So, yeah, shame. But look, massive goals for us both. Huge, that gave us additional points. So, yeah, but great to watch.
Well, on that note, we've had a user titled, "Remember we are a family club, come on you Horns." Tip Welbeck for a hat-trick today. Says you heard it here first. Robbo, would you rule that out?
I'll take that now, really. I would really take Danny Welbeck, like, scoring a hat-trick. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, imagine. Well, fingers crossed. But no fans here, of course, for the time being at Vicarage Road. But Tommy, for Newcastle, they do seem like one of those teams that have really benefited. I mean, it's strange to think because St James's Park, you would have played there. It's an absolute fortress on its day, but they seem to be doing okay without any fans.
Yeah, they do. Some teams seem to have revelled in the start back and the first 3 or 4 fixtures. What you put it down to, I don't know. Whether it does affect certain players a bit more, pardon me. I'm not sure, but yeah, they're certainly one of the teams that have come back and hit the ground running. So it's going to be a tricky afternoon, I think, for us.
Yeah, and away from here, there's some quite key fixtures happening elsewhere at the bottom of the table this weekend. Bournemouth, I think, are facing Leicester. Villa will be playing Crystal Palace this weekend. Huge one as Norwich face West Ham as well. Robbo, do you think these players, I mean, you can speak from your own experience, will be looking at results elsewhere, or will Nigel just be hammering the message home that it's all about what we do here?
No, you can't. As a player yourself, there was no way you would possibly look at any other results because it was about you. You had to do your job. You had to get the result. You had to focus on your game because if you're not focused on the game, then you're not going to be there. Your head's going to be elsewhere, and there's no interest in playing in it. So you've just got to forget about what any other teams are doing and just get that focus on yourself and make sure that most importantly, is that you get the 3 points.
With that, though, Tommy, results have been largely favourable, haven't they, towards Watford?
Yeah, they have been. The teams around us, I think, bar really the West Ham result last weekend, have all gone for us, which it certainly worked in our favour because, as we know, our first 3 performances with 1 point haven't been great. We've been a bit slow since we've come back to gain momentum. So it has been nice to see teams around us continually lose, and they're really suffering. You look at the 3 below us. I struggle to see, hopefully bar Norwich today, who I hope do beat West Ham. But other than that, you can't really see them picking up many points between now and the end of the season. So long may that continue. But still, as Robbo alluded to, we've got to make sure we do our job today, not worry about other results. Make sure we're the ones that take it out of the hands of the other people, not expecting them to lose.
Yeah. Well, we've just had a message come in on the chat log that says, Tezza, I've got no nails left from Tuesday. Well, good luck today, Tezza. Robbo, how does it compare, though, watching these games now from this position as a pundit to being one of those players, coming out of that tunnel with a job to do?
You still get the buzz because we all just love watching the game, don't we? So yeah, I still get a buzz watching all sorts of games on the telly. It's been a long time, like 3 months we've been without it. So yeah, we're all excited. I'm really excited about this game today. We've seen there Newcastle got a real attacking team out, and it's going to be a tough game. So we just got to focus on what we need to do properly, and hopefully we'll come out of it with the 3 points and a little bit further away from the bottom three.
Well, don't forget that the Hornets Hive is live in the lead up to every Premier League match day. So we've got 4 left, including today's fixture against Newcastle United. Be sure to join us at 7 o'clock next Friday night. That's the 17th of July. 8 o'clock kickoff at London Stadium against West Ham. Another huge one at the foot of the table. Another chance, though, to create some distance between ourselves and the drop zone. So a big one in the fight for survival. And we're going to have all the build-up once more here on the Hornets Hive, as well as full commentary. So a reminder that come 12:30, we will be joining our commentary team, familiar voices of John Marks and Derek Payne. Right then, we'll take some final thoughts from you two then ahead of today's game. I think Robbo just touched on it there. But Tommy, this Newcastle team, 5 changes. It looks as if it's going to be a pretty aggressive approach today from Steve Bruce.
Yeah, look, the last game against Manchester City, they went out and looked to sit back and I guess put men behind the ball, really, which is certainly a lot of clubs what they adopt when they play against Man City. So today it looks like completely the opposite. He slipped in a number of attacking players again. I know St Maximin was rested for fatigue apparently against Man City, so he's back in today, and he's their real danger man. But you look at the likes of Matt Ritchie, Dwight Gale, Almiron, Danny Rose. They're all effective going forward. They're all good players, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they line up. But it's certainly there's a lot of potent players there, so we need to be careful today to make sure we're not going to put too many bodies forward.
Yeah, with that, Robbo, what do you think the approach should be? Tommy said there we've got to be a bit careful, make sure that we don't put too many forward and go at it too hard. So with that, do we just sort of keep it tight early on and then build?
Yeah, I mean, my only worry today for Watford would be is that Steve Bruce will want a reaction from his players after getting battered 5-0 by Man City. So what's important for Watford is that they keep that nice solid shape and they look for the outlet of Sarr. He's been excellent. I love watching him. He's direct. He's positive. Get him on the ball as much as they can. Get players like Danny Welbeck, Will Hughes in dangerous areas. But yeah, probably the counter-attacking style of football today will do Watford good and just nullify Newcastle's attacking threat as much as possible.
I've just forgot. We haven't even really mentioned that yet, that Newcastle come into this of a absolute hiding from Manchester City. Tommy, I want to get your perspective as a player, because the assumption might be if they come here from getting an absolute battering from City, that their confidence might be a little bit low. But as players, really, as Robbo said, they're going to be looking for a response, aren't they?
Yeah, they will be, most definitely. Look, it's not an easy place to go, Man City, and they do trounce most teams. So Newcastle won't really be thinking, look, we let ourselves down there. They'll just be looking, right, that's out of the way. We're coming to Watford. We're going to put it right. And as Robbo said, Steve Bruce is all about getting players up for games, and he'll be expecting a reaction today. And I think they'll be here to prove a point. He's gone very attacking, so I think that in itself shows exactly what their game plan is going to be.
Had a question from Merlin, Robbo. Would you take a draw at this moment?
No, because I think we need 3 points. I think if we take a draw, then it's quite a negative approach. I think Watford have got to go into the game looking for the 3 points because they need it really badly.
Yeah, and for you, Tommy?
Yeah, completely agree. I wouldn't take a point now. I think we'll win today. Off the back of the game on Tuesday against Norwich, full of confidence, go out there and produce another good performance.
Yeah, well, I can see on the screen to the left of me, I think the players are now making their way out at Vicarage Road. So just a few final comments to mention. Miguel says, I've got butterflies, or is it hornets? Teza says, Robbo, give us a wave. Robbo, give us a wave.
There you go, Tez.
Plenty of you getting in touch across the world. Watching in Dubai, come on you horns. Watching in sunny Chalfont St Peter, come on you horns. That's remember, Watford, we are a family club. Come on, you horns. Right, well, that brings us towards the end of our build-up. The teams are coming out, as we've mentioned. We're going to be back at half-time with the views of both Tommy Smith and Paul Robinson with analysis of the first half. Zedcar's now playing in the background here at Vicarage Road, if you can hear it. Hopefully it gets the players up once more. Due to broadcasting rights, at half-time it'll be audio only from the studio. So for now, sit back, enjoy the game if you can via your usual broadcast feed. And please do remember to send through your messages via the watch along text function for half time. We're going to be putting those messages, as many of them as possible, to both Robbo and Tommy at the break. If you're unable to watch a live match feed, we can now offer you full commentary of today's game with our team of John Marks and Derek Payne. So without further ado, we will hand over to John and Derek. Their voices will be the voices that you hear next as the players come out here at Vicarage Road. They're going to be preparing now for a moment's silence in memory of World Cup winner Jack Charlton, who has sadly passed away, aged 85. So half-time then at Vicarage Road, it's Watford 0, Newcastle United 1. At Gale's 23rd minute goal, the difference so far. We will be back with John Marks and Derek Payne for the second half in about 10 minutes' time. But in the meantime, back on the Hive, it's Tommy Smith and Paul Robinson. We're going to be talking through that first half performance and analysing it a little bit. Tommy, we'll come to you first. We're one down, but still very much in this game. Derek was alluding to it there. You may even feel a bit gutted that we're not ahead.
Yeah, it's been a bit frustrating. It has been a bit of a stop-start first half. A lot of free kicks, a lot of possession given away pretty cheaply. It was frustrating, I think, for us as the home side. You've got to go out and create the tempo and grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and I don't think we've done that. And we've allowed Newcastle to play their way into the game a little bit. And they'll be really frustrated at the way they've conceded the goal there. Simple corner, free header, and then Dwight Gale's free at the back post. So really, they'll be really frustrated about that. But there are positives. We've got the ball in the box a lot. We've caused havoc, nearly scored a goal. Another rotation of the ball and that's in. So yeah, there's some positives to take out of there. But I think just need to get the tempo up, certainly. Move the ball around a bit quicker. We've looked a bit one-dimensional for me, I think, at times.
Keep your comments coming in. If you're here with us on the Hive, we like to hear from you. Someone's been in touch to say, we're not at the races today. No control midfield, simply punting it upfield in the hope that we might get a knockdown. Teresa says, this is the problem of playing the same team again, not having fresh legs. We look slow to the ball. Robbo, can you see that as well? Do you think that's been an issue?
I wouldn't say slow legs, no. You can see that the midfield are needlessly running. When you're watching Doucouré and Capoue and Hughes, they seem to be chasing after balls that they don't need to be. So instead of just keeping their shape and keeping that compactness, they're chasing the balls for no reason. So, and they haven't been doing that in previous games. Whether they feel that because the ball's been given away that they have to go and win it back as quick as possible, there's no need to do it. Newcastle are not going to hurt you from their own half. It's in and around the final third that Newcastle are causing us a lot of problems just because of the fact is that we're very passive.
Tommy, Danny Welbeck with that brilliant opportunity. How it didn't just creep over the line, I'll never know. It was very, very unlucky there. But yourself, as a former Watford striker, when you go into the dressing room in a big game like this and you have just missed an opportunity like that, what kind of mental headspace do you think he's in? Will he be more motivated now to try and get it right in the second half? Or can you have a bit of an issue kind of shaking that off, getting that out of your head?
No, I don't think with the opportunity he had, he did everything he could do, really. He kept the ball away. He fired the ball into the ground. It popped up. It could have easily have gone in. It was one of those. It was very close to going in. So I think for me, he won't be reliving that in his head. He might have gone back across the goal, possibly, but I think he saw the ball quite late as it dropped over the heads in front of him. So look, for me, I just think that's an advantage for him to show, look, there's opportunities for me if I keep getting into the box, particularly on the back stick there, which is where the ball came in. Hopefully we'll get some more opportunities like that in the second half.
And Robbo, from a defensive point of view, for their goal, could Watford have really done a little bit better there?
Yeah, much better. Obviously, it's disappointing to concede from a set piece because I know Nigel, he's very restricted on working on set pieces and being solid. But the fact that Fernandes has got a free header and then on the second ball, Gale's got no one even around him, 5 yards around him, and to tap it in the back of the net. So, yeah, it's a disappointing goal to concede.
Plenty of you getting in touch using the comments section. John B says Dawson has been outstanding post-lockdown. Another user getting in touch to say it's not over until it's over. Believe. Come on, you Horns. What about at the break then, Tommy? Do you think Nigel should be looking at making any changes? Merlin has suggested maybe it's time for João Pedro. Unknown quantity, no fear.
I don't know if it's the right game for Pedro just yet, but I certainly think we've played a lot of games in a small space of time. So the squad and strength in depth are really, really important. I'm sure we'll be looking at, maybe not straight away, but it'll be really important to use subs throughout the rest of the game. But look, we've got a whole 45 minutes ahead of us. And with the way and the quality that we've got on the pitch, I think if we pick the tempo of the game up, pass the ball around a little bit more, try and add a bit more movement, then we're going to cause Newcastle problems. So, there's a lot of football left in it. So we certainly can't be too despondent.
Yeah, what's the approach then, Robbo, when these players come back out? Barry says, we're looking a bit nervous at the moment. We just need to try and settle on the ball, pass it around, get some possession. Yeah,
keep the ball a lot better, pick the right moments of when to hurt Newcastle. I think when we've seen in the occasions in the first half, get the ball in wide areas and get the balls in the box. You've got Troy Deeney, you've got Danny Welbeck, you've got Sarr there, big players. Doucouré coming from deep, getting into the box, get the balls in there and cause Newcastle a lot more problems. And also get Will Hughes on the ball higher up. He's dropping too deep, and we don't want Will Hughes there. We want him in and around off Troy, where he's causing little problems for Newcastle, and see what they do doing. But yeah, I think we've just got to be more positive and on the front foot.
With Will Hughes, we've had a comment here from James Charles. He says, I do love Hughes, but I can't help but think Tom Cleverley could have done a bit better with the balls he's had. Tommy, do you think that should be a change that Nigel should be thinking about? I think it was around the hour mark that change happened in the game against Norwich on Tuesday. But should that be something that perhaps Nigel should be considering?
Well, look, we've got quite a number of quality players on the bench, and certainly Tom is one of them. I've played with Tom. He brings a lot of energy into the game. If he gets a license to run forward, he's very good at making these runs off the back of midfielders. So certainly it will be on his mind, I'm sure, for Nige to throw him in at some point. Look, Will Hughes is a quality player, and Robbo's right. We need to get him higher up and get him on the ball more. You can't really hurt a team like Newcastle playing so deep. And at times we look a bit like we're isolated. Our front three, they're a bit on their own. So we need to certainly get better possession in the opposition's half. And Will will have a huge part to play in that if he stays on.
Yeah. And just on Newcastle, I wanted to bring up Alan Saint-Maximin. Robbo, from the view that Tommy and I have had here at the stadium, you can really see the damage he does just running at players. He's been a bit of a handful, hasn't he, in that first half?
Yeah, he's head and shoulders been their best player on the football pitch. Talked about it before, John Joe Shelvey, when he's on the ball and he's got time and space, he will keep finding Maximin, which what he's been doing. And then Messina's got to be more aggressive with him. He's got to either lay a tackle on him or he's got to be tighter, forcing him into different areas of the pitch where he's not going to hurt Watford. But yeah, Maximum's been a real problem for Watford in the first half. So they need to get that sorted for the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as Tommy mentioned, there's still 45 minutes of football to be played here at Vicarage Road. So a long way to go yet. Just a final word on Ben Foster, I think, Tommy, who's played a big role for Watford in that first 45, a couple of big saves.
Yeah, look, he's been outstanding again today. He's just carrying on the form he's shown all season, really. He's just, like a lot of keepers, he's got better and better, I think, with the maturity. And he's a huge character, I think, in the dressing room as well. So, yeah, I'm delighted to see him doing so well and just signed a new deal as well. So good for him. And look, as long as he's on top form, you know, we always stand a chance, I think, in every game of keeping the opposition down to low numbers, if not clean sheets.
Steve says it's time to take the game to Newcastle. We really need to compete. We've had a comment in here from David Prutton, who's in Canada. We still have full 45 minutes, and we have seen that Watford can come from behind to win games. Better use of the ball, and we will get chances. I fancy Danny Welbeck to score again. I think the final comment, which I've already mentioned, but we echo again, it's from Remember, we are a family club. Come on, you Horns. It's not over until it's over. Believe. Come on, you Horns. So on that note, we'll leave you. Tommy, Robbo, and I will be back at full time for reaction to this game. Watford at the break, though, trailing Newcastle by a 0-0. Still 45 to go, though, and we will hand you back now to our commentary team for the second half. It's John Marks and Derek Payne.
We said this was going to be a big week. It's turned into a massive week for the Hornets. They needed a hero. It was Danny Welbeck on Tuesday. It looks like it's going to be Troy Deeney at the double on Saturday. Referee Craig Borson looks at his watch. Referee Craig Borson blows the full-time whistle. Watford come from behind, and 2 Troy Deeney second half penalties give the Hornets back-to-back wins at Vicarage Road this week. They move on to 34 points. They're 6 clear of Bournemouth. They're 7 clear of Aston Villa. 2-1 they win. 2 spot kicks from the captain. When the Hornets needed a hero, Troy Deeney stepped up and delivered. Dwight Gale gave Newcastle the lead in the first half, but Feminier was fouled by Matt Ritchie, and Deeney thumped the penalty down the middle. And when Sarr was brought down by Manquillo, he thumped the Natives penalty into the roof of the net beyond Dubravka. Watford win by 2-1, and Premier League safety, the great escape, is now within touching distance. Watford 2, Newcastle.
Well, a big warm welcome back to the Hornets Hive. Thank you so much to John Marks and Derek Payne, our commentary team. They're taking us through the twists and turns of that second half, where Watford have come back once more from behind, thanks to Troy Deeney striking from the spot twice. We have beaten Newcastle United by 2-1. How good does that sound? Remember, this show is all about you, the fans, so we do want to keep hearing from you what you made of that. Another huge win for Watford. Back with us, Tommy Smith, Paul Robinson. Welcome back, gentlemen. Tommy, you said it would be a big 45, and wow, they've stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, they did. They really did. I'm not sure what was said at half time, but it did the job, because they came out and they looked like a different team. The tempo was up. It just looked like they wanted it more than Newcastle. And look, we got the 2 penalties. They were both nailed on for me. We created 3 or 4 really good chances as well. So look, no one can argue with the result at the end of the day. I think 2-1 was a fair reflection of what the second half represented, really, for Watford.
Yeah, Robbo, Watford fought so hard, didn't they? A huge half for Troy Deeney in particular, but as a collective team performance. I mean, Tommy said there, What on earth was said in that dressing room at half-time? You've been in a dressing room with Nigel Pearson in these circumstances. Whatever he said, it clearly got them going.
Yeah, well, he would have just highlighted the points that we mentioned at half-time. The team needed to be higher up the pitch. We've seen Will Hughes off Troy Deeney, Doucouré off Troy Deeney. We got extra bodies in the final third, which made a massive difference. Newcastle couldn't handle it, and like Tommy said there, we could have had 3 or 4 in the end with the amount of chances that we've created. So much better half, and again, a lot of positives to take from it. So yeah, massive 3 points and well deserved in the end.
Yeah, Philly Hornets been in touch to say, and breathe. Tezza says, that's huge. Wes, thank goodness for that. All down the pub now. Tezza said, forget my nails, Emma. I'm passed by my knuckles now. Tommy, it wasn't an easy watch, was it at all?
Well, look, I think at this stage of the season, particularly towards the end of each match, is going to be a little bit nerve-wracking when you're in the position we're in. So yeah, it was quite edgy, quite nervous. I think the performance, particularly the first 45, they showed their nerves, and you could see it was a massive game for us, but thoroughly deserved, and that gives us a 6-point gap now. I know there's a couple of games in hand for Villa and Bournemouth, a game in hand for each of them, but I think we've probably done enough to say, look, we're pretty much there. Another win would be lovely, but I think it makes it very tough for the teams below us now.
Yeah, if you look at the table now, well, let's just say it looks a lot healthier, Robbo. Still in 17th, but that points gap now 6, as Tommy just said. Watford on 34 points. Are you with Tommy there, Robbo? Do you think that should be enough? Not that you want to rely on it, but mathematically that should be it.
It should be enough, but like Tommy said there, Watford still have to go into the games now fully prepared. So West Ham game still massive. Bournemouth, obviously, they've got to do their job now, but there'll be more pressure on Bournemouth knowing that this result's just come in, and with Leicester at home, for them it's going to be a tough game. So yeah, nice relief for Watford with that little bit of a gap now. But again, still not resting on laurels and going to that West Ham game fully focused, ready to get another 3 points.
Yeah. From a character point of view, Tommy, that's twice now in the space of a week, less than a week, that Watford have come back from behind in a game and got the job done in these circumstances. What does that say about the spirit, the character of this team?
Well, I think it's a massive statement. I remember when Nigel came in, there was big questions about the squad and how much do they want it, what the togetherness is like in the dressing room. And I think something was missing. But you can clearly see now that there's a real togetherness. And, all credit to Nigel, because I think he's brought that back into the club. It's been there previously, but I think we'd lost our way a little bit. And he's brought that back in. And the last 2 games absolutely show what we're all about as a club now. I think, that fighting spirit's back.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbo, I wanted to ask you about Troy and the role that he played in this game. In his programme notes, he admitted that since the restart, he's not been playing his best, but you can know that you can always rely on him on these huge occasions, right?
Yeah, he's a leader, and it takes balls to go up and take 2 penalties under that much pressure. Both times he's just in his head straight away. He knows what he wants to do, and that was to smash it as hard as he could down the middle. And they've both gone in the back of the net. But he's massive for Watford. The criticism that he'll get, he's had it before. He shrugs it off and he gets on with it. Yes, obviously the coronavirus has not helped, and he had a newborn baby as well that he felt he needed to protect, which is understandable. It's your family. But when he's on that pitch, everyone responds to the qualities and the leaderships that he has. And Watford's results always pick up when he's in and around the pitch, and on occasions off the pitch as well, with his leadership in the changing room.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tommy, on that note, I'd be interested to get your thoughts as a former Watford striker on Troy's penalties today. Of course, you used to take penalties for Watford back in your time here. I mean, there's no one really you trust more in those situations. He just seems to relish these big occasions, doesn't he, and having that opportunity. But actually, before we get into the way he took them, let's pick up on what we noticed. And that was him going over to Nigel Pearson. I'm not sure if the TV cameras picked this up, but he ran over to Pearson. They exchanged words, didn't they, before he came back to the spot to take it. What do you think that was all about?
Oh, God, I don't know. It was a bit odd. I hope he wasn't asking him which way to go. But no, look, you're spot on. You need big characters, and Troy's certainly that. I echo what Robbo said. He's the kind of the man you want in that position. He's done it for the club during his period here as a player. That he's reliable. He seems to love the big occasions like that. One moment that sticks out is the semi-final against Wolves last year, where we had the penalty, and you're in the last minute, and he's the guy that he's there, chest out, shoulders back. And he wants to take responsibility for the team. And I had no doubt he was going to score that second goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit nervous, that was all.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit close. The keeper did well, but Troy did manage to find the back of the net on both occasions. But for him, I think he acknowledges this in the programme notes, that he has been in for a little bit of criticism recently from the fans. But to go and then put that right on a day like today, Robbo, I mean, that is why ultimately he's club captain.
Yeah, and that's where he does his talking. Everyone has an opinion, understandably, because everyone deserves an opinion. But it's about your performances on the football pitch. And when Troy plays, he puts his performances in and he leads from the front. So we can never question him, no matter what people say. And like, again, today, he's had the nerve, the steel to stand up there in front of the penalty and put both of them in the back of the net. And that's all that matters. He's just got Watford 3 points. Absolutely.
And on that note, I think we can speak to the man of the moment himself, live right now. Joining us on the Hornets Hive is Watford captain Troy Deeney. Troy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing? You all right?
I'm all right. How are you?
Officially old. That's what I am. Everything hurts at this moment in time, but no, it was. I'm a lot better now with one.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we were just talking about your ears must be burning. Today's
is that a good thing? There's some not so nice people in that room, so is that a good thing?
A day like today, Troy, of course, we've really got good things to say.
Oh, okay.
Troy, you said in your programme notes, you understand the frustration of others. I think you're directly quoted to say, I think it's been my fault we've not been great at times since the restart. How much have you enjoyed having the chance to put that right today?
It's not just today, it's every day. And when I say I criticise myself, I think that the lads will know, as captain, you can't afford to just be in a position of blaming others. You have to look at yourself and criticise yourself more than anybody else. And I'm aware that I am, with this ugly face, the face of the club. So everyone is always going to have a situation or a point to prove it and say that Troy should be doing more. I'm aware of that. So I can't hide from it. So I have to embrace it and let the others know that I'm more critical of myself than anybody else will. So in this unfortunate period of not playing well, I'm always going to say that I should be doing more, and that's what I strive to do. And thankfully today, it's people are going to say, oh, he scored, but he only scored penalties. So there's always going to be something to complain about. But in the game, all that matters is that we won, and it don't matter who scores. I said, I don't care if Dawson scores 6 between now and the end of the season, he's top goal scorer. If we get the games won and everyone and the fans and people that work at this club come back to a Premier League club, that's the most important thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. We were just saying you do seem to absolutely relish these big opportunities, though. When the referee pointed to the spot on both occasions, what's going through your head?
Honestly, I was waiting for VAR to overturn it at one point, so I just walked off and spoke to the gaffer for the first one.
Can you tell us what was said in that exchange? We were sort of trying to work that out.
Yeah, I can actually. I don't know whether the gaffer wants to say it, but he said, are you going to smile today? Because I've been a bit of a miserable so-and-so the last few days. And that was it. We generally just try to take my mind off it, because naturally it's a tense moment, but I'm quite calm in those situations, because I understand that I can either score or I can miss. It's that simple. But I think he was just trying to ease my mind, and that was it. We had a little joke and back to work, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we've got Paul Robinson with us. Robbo, does that surprise you? I mean, you've worked with Nigel. Hearing that from Troy?
No, not at all. Nigel's a great character, and I'm sure Troy will agree that he's given everyone there a big lift, especially in the behind the scenes of what we don't see. And he puts full trust in Troy, like Troy's touched on there. Everyone goes through their problems in football, and it's how you bounce back and how you prove people wrong. And congratulations, Troy, because you're constantly.
Man, mate.
So I respect you in everything that you're doing, and as the captain of the football club, it's, do you know what I mean? You are leading from the front in what everyone sees. So congratulations, mate. Keep it going. Got 3 massive games still to go, and we'll hopefully catch up for that coffee soon, mate, as well.
I know they're open now, mate, and I've tried to get round to your neck of the woods. It's a big old gaff you live in, isn't it? He's done well. Just for everyone that's listening, Robbo has done very well in life.
Well, you've done very well today, Troy. Really quick question. I know you're going to be in demand, but I just want to fire one more thing at you. 34 points now. We know, the job isn't done, but just describe to us the mood in that dressing room at full time with the job still to do.
Obviously, you've got to take. We've took a lot of criticism, and I think if it weren't for COVID as well, the gaffer and the players were getting a lot more credit. You got to remember our first. Well, we won obviously against Norwich, but our first proper win was Man United, which was mid-December. So in such a short amount of time, he's turned things around, and we, we've had our bad games as everyone does, but we've really stuck together. I'm just outside now. You've seen the other lads grafting, who know they haven't played, but they're doing the runs, and everyone's really pulling in the right direction. It's not about any individual at this moment in time, which is great. Me personally, I'm about to go and get my knee drained and injected, and as the boys know, that's always good fun when you start getting to 32. You need all the help you can get, and I'll be ready for Friday, and that's it. We can't look for more points. We just got to beat West Ham, and that's it. It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Troy, we'll let you go. Congratulations to
Cheers,
Steve's goal today.
If that's a picture of Tommy Rock, is that Tommy live now? He looks gorgeous today. You are doing really well, mate. Honestly.
Oh, shut up, man. Well done today, buddy. Well played.
Thank you, guys.
Well
Look
done,
after
mate.
yourselves. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Troy. Well, then, what do you make of those comments there, then, Tommy? Not just the last ones about your appearance.
No, look, he's a great leader. He's the kind of guy you need when you're near the bottom of the table, and you need men to stand up and be counted. And as he said there, he wants to show that. He doesn't just want to talk about it. He wants to show it on the pitch and improve himself week in, week out, every day, which is, it's a real inspiration to hear. And you can see why, he's the captain here, and people do question him about his build, about, his fitness, about if he's good enough, but he always rises above it and proves them wrong. So, I'm delighted for him. He's a great character.
Yeah. I mean, Robert, I think some of the questions that were coming in from fans over half-time and in the early stages of the second half were whether Troy did have a role in the rest of this game, or whether we needed to change things up. But obviously, there was a role to be played, and he absolutely smashed it in the end.
Yeah, but like I said before, everyone has their opinions. Everyone will see the game differently to other people. So Troy just needs to keep doing what he's doing. We didn't use him well enough in the first half. It was simple as that, and that's a collective as a team. When you see when we use Troy in the second half, like we did throughout the second half, he is massive to this team, and you need to get bodies around him. That's what Troy's game is: get the ball up to him and get bodies around him, and then let him do his business in and around the box, which he gets paid to do. He's a striker. He loves scoring goals. And we weren't doing that. So second half, again, he's proved his doubters wrong, and he's won a massive 3 points for Watford with his penalties.
Yeah, he certainly has. Just looking ahead then to the game next Friday, that's going to do all sorts for confidence. I think all of us admittedly had half an eye on the West Ham Norwich game. And if you didn't see the score, well, West Ham wiped the floor, should we say. They're looking extremely sharp going into the remaining games of this run-in. And actually, it tees up next Friday quite well, Tommy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, both teams back-to-back wins. So they'll both be feeling really confident going into this game. And also, I think with a little bit of pressure off both of them in the way that they've found a little bit of a gap between the teams below them. So, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a really good game and a tough one as well because, West Ham have really found some form at the right time. So, it won't be easy. But, as Robbo touched on earlier, we've got to go there, prepare properly and look for 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, don't forget that the Hornets Hive will be live in the lead up to every Premier League match day. So do be sure to join us at 7 o'clock on Friday night. That's the 17th of July, ahead of that 8 o'clock kickoff at London Stadium, where we will be taking on West Ham United. Final thoughts then, Robbo. It's a huge win, isn't it? And no doubt it's going to do a lot for the confidence in that dressing room as we head into our last 3 games. Yeah,
massive confidence. A much needed win. Some real positive performances. I was really impressed with Dawson and Feminio today. I thought them two were excellent at the back for Watford, and obviously Fozzie in goal. But no, the confidence now should be thriving throughout the team, and they should look forward to that game against West Ham on Friday. Yeah, well, you all sounded like you certainly enjoyed that victory today. Juan Pablo 79 says, great result, boys. Jersey Pie says, result the most important thing today. Well done, lads. Miles says, and now they're going to believe us. The Orns are staying up. Gaza echoing similar thoughts. I think we are safe now. Philly Hornet, thanks, Troy, for joining us. And actually, let me see if I can track down a comment earlier about Troy from Teresa. Well played, Troy Deeney, on that second penalty. Took some serious cojones. And I think on that note, we'll wrap up here. So that is it from us on the Hornets Hive today. Another huge 3 points in that fight for survival. So Watford 6 points clear now of the drop as we go to London Stadium next Friday. So we look forward to being with you again then. But in the meantime, I must say thanks to you for watching today, getting behind the Golden Boys from home. Tommy, Robbo, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both on, and we hope that everyone's enjoyed the show, and we look forward to doing it all again on Friday night as Watford will be taking on West Ham.